What up, gamers? NanMans here, and we are back with some more modern action. This time we've got Gruul Hardened Scales versus Gruul Prowess. It's the Battle of Gruul going on here. Part of that is because of the, spoilers for Edge of Eternity, drawing some Hardened Scales players in the shop toward that kind of inevitable shift from Simic into Gruul. We have seen some Simic on camera, we've seen some Gruul on camera. If you're not familiar with Hardened Scales, the whole goal of it is to basically manipulate +1/+1 counters with your artifact creatures using things like Arcbound Ravagers, Abaz, Walking Ballista, all that kind of stuff. Now, the other side of it, we have seen Gruul Prowess on the channel before previously. This is kind of like a mix of the deck that got to play at Pro Tour Modern Horizons 3 with all the crazy red and green pump spells, but also a twist on the Prowess by having some old school cards like Curd Ape. So this player in particular really enjoys like the old school zoo, like that sort of style of it. So they're like, I like Curd Ape. It's an awesome card. I'm gonna play Curd Ape. So, I think that's kind of the fun and exciting thing of our shop compared to maybe some other shops, is that we do get players that are like, yeah, I just want to play this fun deck that I enjoy. That's, still the goal is to win, right? We're playing modern here, but I can still have fun about it. All right, Patchwork Automaton, one of the most powerful 2-drops artifacts in there just by itself, because it will grow every single turn. Every time that you're having playing an artifact, it will get a +1 counter, but also it's got Ward 2, and then with the Welding Jar, you're basically setting yourself up to make this thing undying. All right, Fetch and Shotgun, getting ourselves ready, but you can see a little bit of the list. We saw some Slick Shot show-offs in here, quite a bit of pump spells. So really the goal is to kind of land a Prowess creature, or in this case, a Curd Ape, and then just kind of bring the heat. So we'll see. It is very explosive. If you're not familiar with how, Prowess decks have worked in the past, it doesn't. This version, because it is Gruul, is not running the Steel Cutters though. You could probably get away with running a Steel Cutter in here just with the amount of like spells, and then it also gives you that kind of go wide style of play here. But this is why things get a really scary. Scale Up's going to get used, turning this Curd Ape into a 6/4 worm, but it actually gets buffed up because we do still control a forest. So there is that element that you have to kind of keep track of. So we're going to throw that in the way, of course. And what if we monstrous raise that and just kind of say, yeah, we're going to make sure we can trample over you. So yeah, look at this huge explosive turn there on turn 2. So if we did not block here, we would have been really chunked. And we're still taking a big chunk of damage as well. And you can see there was like the gut shot and stuff, but because we don't have a Prowess creature going on, we could have saved the gut shot and everything there. But, at least getting the Welding Jar out of the way, depending on how many artifacts come down, we could just kind of drop a land and bolt that. But we'll see. All right. Zabaz is coming out now, so here things are going to get a little bit crazy. All right. Yeah, Zabaz, and again, like, if you have Agatha's Soul Cauldron, you get to start using all those abilities and start doing some crazy manipulation with all this activated stuff. So you're going to see some very particular activated abilities on a lot of these creatures that we're going to start getting drop downs. Like the most important one, of course, Zabaz, Arcbound Ravager, Walking Ballista, that sort of stuff. All right, Pithing Needle. Now, the reason to cast this is really just to grow the Patchwork Automaton. Most Hardened Scales lists run a singleton Pithing Needle in the main board just as a target to be able to find off of your Urza Saga search. All right, we have a response. Gut Shot going to come down, blast those mods. Oh, now that I'm thinking about it, for those that are still watching and hanging out with us, we do have bonus content on this episode. I completely forgot about it, but this one, that was one of the big reasons we wanted to feature this as our first of the many Hardened Scales matchups that we've got coming up, or at least in the pipeline for you to be able to enjoy here. But we've got another Abzan Rhino match at the end of this. So if you were watching, you can see there is a little bit of a description thing, or at least the timestamp that says, hey, bonus content there. We have a couple of those, you know, in queue as well, but I like having the kind of bonus content. Basically just like a, hey, let's play one friendly match and stuff like that. And that is one of the fun things, is players are experimenting, testing out new decks. So our Gruul Prowess players also are Rhino players. So that is one of those nice little bonus things here. We get to see that after the match. But in the meantime, in this current match, our goal at this point is to find a way to burst in with our Curd Ape again. Another scale up would be great here, you know, but that 5/5 automaton does make things a little bit more difficult here. So, you know, Gruul Prowess, it's very explosive, very pierce oriented, where you just have one creature and you're just kind of piercing through your opponent's blockers, piercing into their life, where the Is It Prowess, which is the more popular version of it at this point in time, has that go wide ability with Corey Steelcutter, where it's the Gruul Prowess, this list in particular, doesn't. I don't know. Maybe you could run it, but it's like having the cantrips do make a big difference, right? Oh, okay. Lava Dart getting thrown in there. That does give us a little bit of access to things. You know, again, if we had access to a Prowess creature, we could really get some more explosive. We're really hoping, it looks like, to get, you know, Slick Shot Show Off here, get some evasion going. We do get to make a construct, though. The joke is that's the proper choice of construct. I mean, it is a very cool version of it. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of cool versions of construct. I am partial to my construct token at this point because it's got me on it. All right, but the windmill one's pretty sweet. Oh, okay, so we're getting a welding jar. So this also kind of gives us that indication of what sort of searchable effects. I mean, you know, some of the lines and options that are available to players when you're searching up, it's like we can get another Zabaz, we can be able to get a welding jar, we can get a Ozolith. You know, there's a lot of different options available. We're not really worried about our patchwork dying, so the Ozolith doesn't really, you know, line up with what we want to do. We don't have an Arcbound here to really utilize the Ozolith, so it's like, okay, do we need another Zabaz? Does that really help us? Maybe we're just going to make sure we're like in this safe mode and try to get more ahead in that regard. Because if we're sitting here in just sort of, you know, land go mode with each other, the more that we can protect ourselves and prepare for an eventual burst through to stop this stalemate, we are going to be kind of better set up here. And like getting cards, yes, the Ozolith is more powerful. Yes, the Bonds kind of helps us with that, but I don't know. I think we're okay. We're not going to be trying to go for an Ink Moth, but that line is still available. As soon as you see an Ink Moth on the battlefield and you're sitting across from a Hardened Scales player, you should be kind of clocking that and keeping that in mind and saying, okay, there is a very, very good chance that I could just die out of nowhere to an Ink Moth Nexus. Second Curd Ape coming out for a Prowess player. So still no Slick Shot. We're hoping for some evasion, but not coming at this point in time. But okay, there's 2 lands, a Spring Leaf Drum, and we do get the patchwork. Also, this is our first video that we did extend our rig up a little bit and expanded the battlefield. So now we get to see basically everything. We get to see people's libraries, people's graveyards, which will make things much easier when we do some more of our Lander Control deck on camera. Now, the next one that we've got to showcase that is Lander Control sadly still has the lower rigging, but this is at least the first little sample of us testing things out with the kind of new setup here. All right, so what do we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A 5/5 construct coming across the battlefield here. Yeah, I mean, we've got a big old wall sitting up there with a 6/6, so throw the other Curd Ape there. Ooh, we're swinging and shifting into a burn deck here. Lava Dart will drop you to 10, and then I will sacrifice this ring. And that'll deal 2. Okay, that's pretty good of like a swing. 8 is much more manageable. We've already got Trample, so we really just need... Oh, we've got a Monstrous Rage, but no Scale Up or anything here. So top deck in the land, definitely not where you want to be. What is that? 8 lands that the deck has seen so far, if you count like the fetch lands in there. Alright, pass it on over. Yeah, that's the tough part where you kind of realize the deck has kind of run out of gas. And you're just like, okay, I'm in the almost wait to die mode now. Oh, Haywire might come in, which will buff up all of the other patchworks, as well as our Karn Struck here. Now, there's I mean, if we did not use the Ink Moth to summon the Haywire Might, I don't know what else is in the hand, but if we had used the, you know, Stomping Ground, we could have activated our Ink Moth and made our Karn Struck a little bit bigger. But it looks like... Oh, okay. So that makes more sense. We've got our Hangerback Walker. Let's make everything a little bit bigger. This, of course, when it dies, you got to put some Thopters. A lot of lists have kind of started to shave down on our Hangerback. You should still at least have one of, maybe 2, depending on how your list is looking. But, like, using that with an Arcbound Ravager is so good. So it's like it's too hard not to cut it from the list. But yeah, let's just kind of turn everybody sideways. We got so much stuff, and that will be able to help clean up game number 1 here. But yeah, we got to see kind of a snapshot of what the Gruul Prowess list is trying to do. Hardened Scales just doing its thing. You know, relying on that Patchwork Automaton to kind of really carry things through. Now, we don't get to see a little bit of sideboard stuff, shuffling. We cut all that stuff out here just to kind of get clean right to the game. No worries as we kind of get set up here for game number 2. No creature in hand. Couple removal spells, though. Some pump spells. I don't know. I mean, the way that this list is run reminds me of old school, you know, Infect, where you're like, oh, I've only got, like, you know, 12 creatures in the list. I need to make sure that I'm mulliganing to them. And we see, you know, the debate. I guess we already went to 6, so we don't want to go to 5 because you're like, you feel so far behind at that point. And we're like, all right, we have a way to draw a card. I don't know. I still feel like, you know, mulliganing is a skill, right? Just like sideboarding, just like all of these things within Magic of like, how can I improve and get better? It's stuff like this is learning, like, try not to keep greedy hands. I mean, I played last week and kept a couple of 1-landers. Now, then again, I could cast pretty much everything in my hand. I had a bunch of 1-drops. I had some cantrips. I had some removal spells. Like, you know, I was able to kind of get away with it, but there's more times than not that you're going to get punished for keeping 1-land hands than you are. Luckily, neither of these players are keeping 1-land hands, but we don't really have threats, and the whole idea of a Gruul Prowess list is to deploy a threat and just kill your opponent. The other side of things, our Hardened Scales player immediately setting things up with a Hardened Scales on turn 1. So, going to be a much faster pace game for game number 2 here. Part of that is the way that Hardened Scales interacts with the deck is, you know, we're just playing creatures that normally enter with a +1 counter, so now they're going to be entering with 2 +1 counters, and it's just going to snowball out of control very fast here. But we got a Surveil land getting fetched up for our Prowess player, going to try to set us up and get some information, hopefully find a creature that can be able to help us out. Oh, all the players are talking about the different arts for the Hardened Scales. What's your favorite art for the Hardened Scales? Because there's so many. Like, do you like the traditional Abzan style? Are you a dinosaur fan? Do you like the snake? I mean, I guess there's you know, I think the Fallout. There's one from Fallout. I don't know. There's so many different Hardened Scales out there now. So I dig it. I've got a mix of the original and the snake right now, but I also like to do the mixed art. Like one of my Dimir Murktide list in particular has a different art for each of the counter spells. Oh, I forgot this. Okay, so if we had waited, that one hurt me. Okay, Gut Shot deals 1 damage. So we were set up to kill that, but we made the mistake of going, oh, I thought the ward was paid to life. I misunderstood that it was 2 mana. So if we had waited until this turn, right, our turn with our lands untapped, we're set and we're good to go. But we made that slight mistake there, which happens, right? Part of playing against different decks and not, you know, different mechanics and keeping track of it. Like, this will happen to you if you start getting into Modern, or if you start fighting against decks that you maybe haven't seen before. Mistakes happen all the time. But part of that is that learning moment that you should take that in and go, okay, I'm not going to make that mistake again. I'm going to actually pay attention to what just happened. How did that interaction work? So I do not let that same situation happen again. And like, I find that part so enjoyable when it comes to Magic. All right, so we had to spend a bolt. So that bolt really should have been for another creature here, if you think about it, right? A gut shot went off the way it was supposed to. A lightning bolt should have gone for a second creature here. So let's see what the follow-up for our Hardened Scales player is. Oh. All right, we're going to pay life. Oh, the Magus. Okay, so most players are familiar with the change to Urza Saga, but let's talk a little bit about it. So, Magus of the Moon, Blood Moon, Harbinger of the Seas, all these effects that turn your lands into, you know, either mountains or islands or whatever. We've got a Urza Saga that no longer will tick up on its counters because of the new ruling with the way sagas work after Final Fantasy was released. Now we have Urza Saga in the perfect mode. The mode that allows us to constantly make constructs. They'll never go away, right? We never will tick it up, so we can sit here and just constantly sit here. Hey, my mountain has the abilities that Urza Saga does. But, again, make the optimal plays. Don't just make constructs because we should. We're playing Arcbound. We're playing Market Back Walker here. And now we've got a lot of fuel. We've talked about the difference between a game with Arcbound Ravagers and without Arcbound Ravagers. But here's the thing, right? If we had Bolt, we could have killed the Magus and kind of helped us out a little bit more here. I mean, I don't think we have a threat. We've got a lot of green pump spells, though. All right, Zabaz is here, but yeah, this is where things go. Okay, let's check the math. I guess I just kill you here. Let's eat this. Let's draw some cards. Oh, yeah. Tap 2. Cauldron. All right, here's the shenanigans. I'm going to cast this Walking Ballista for the price of for free. And then I'm going to turn my creatures with counters on them into machine guns and just pew, 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 get you down. And then it's like, wait, how did that go to the graveyard? Oh, I cast it for 0. Sorry, I just went from my skip the battlefield, just put it right there into the graveyard. So, but yeah, that's the let's bring the beats. And look at all these great pump spells. Double Groundswell. Oh, a Scale Up. We've got our Assault. We've got our Blossoming Defense. So yeah, all the protection and pump spells there available. But yeah, I guess like even with the Bolt killing off the Magus there, it wouldn't have made a difference because we didn't have a creature that we couldn't deploy. I was wondering if there was like something there. I would say most of the creatures in there are red though, so that's, you know, it is what it is. Tough matchup there for the Gruul Hardened Scales versus Gruul Prowess, but you got to see a bit of what both decks are trying to do, so that was nice to be able to see. And we still have our bonus content, so if you're waiting, stay tuned because we do have it set up here where you can see the Abzan Rhinos deck in action. All right. So let's jump into it. Fetching Shotgun Birds of Paradise. Now, we've seen the Abzan Rhinos list on camera before. You know, it played against a Is It Prowess list before. And now this time it's going to be playing against Hardened Scales. So depending on how explosive of a start we get, this could impact things and make things a little bit, you know, easier or more challenging. All right. We've got, you can see an Ephemerate. We've got a couple lands. But starting with the birds, nice against a deck that can't really bolt the bird, right? You're not really worried about that fighting against a Hardened Scales list, but we got a turn 1 Zabaz, which is nice. All right, 3 mana. No Rhino to start with, but we got our Warden of the Grove. So this will continue to just kind of build up counters on it. And then that means that any time that another creature enters, it endures X, where X the number of counters on it, or you're going to be able to put X number of counters. So, you know, a nice little, hey, I'm just going to make something really big type deal. Ugh, patchwork again. I hate fighting against this card, but I love when I'm playing Hardened Scales that I actually have that in hand, because it does so much work. Like, it can definitely carry games on its own. All right. I guess it's just like we bring the beats, like 3 damage here. Yeah, we don't have a Rhino at the moment. Yeah. Here's 3 coming across, and then the counters will increase. All right, back over on our Hardened Scales players' turn. Like where you've got this like 2 mana here, really important. All right, Walking Ballista gonna come out. Ooh, we are gonna try to shoot the bird. It looks like maybe we have that option. All right. Yeah, build up turn for the Hardened Scales player. They're basically just like, okay, you're starting to get a really big Hydra. I'm just gonna do my thing. Again, Ink Moth is on the side though, so like that needs to be on the radar of things to be worried about. Oh, is it time? Siege Rhino, there we go. All right, Rhino list already dropping down the namesake of the deck. This is old school card from original Konzatark here, and will be able to, of course, get bigger. So now it's a 6/7 off that Hydra. What the heck? And then the drain of 3, and we'll lose 2 there just because we've got that Ephemerate in hand, so we can do some blinking, do some blocking, try to shoot this. Do we care about the bird? I guess so, because it will become a little bit bigger. Let's Ephemerate it. So, of course, the block does absorb the hits. We don't have to worry about that. No trample on the Hydra. And then it comes back with 2 extra counters. So now it is a 2/3 Birds of Paradise. And we have the Ephemerate to follow it up next turn to blink the Siege Rhino if we wanted to drain again. Oof. I mean, all right. Of course, our Hydra does get bigger on the end step. So then that means that Siege Rhino will get even bigger too off the blink. Oh my gosh. I know, I was a big like proponent of like running like the Black Rose Vampire Vita in here, but the Hydra definitely puts in work. Oh, Hardened Scales. Okay, let's see how much we can kind of stabilize staring down this Rhino. Pithing Needle, doesn't matter what we name here, because it looks like the activated abilities are mana abilities, so that doesn't really do anything. So our Gruul player, she says, I'm going to name Siege Rhino. Not that it really matters, but we're here to grow the patchwork. That's the point of the Pithing Needle. Hangerback Walker coming out as well. Enters with 2 counters on it. And that kind of ability to create Thopters can be quite relevant, knowing that we are facing down a Flying Birds of Paradise here. All right, there's the blink. There's the Rhino growing. There's the drain of 3, gain of 3. Ephemerate putting in work. All right, what do we got? All right, basic forest. All right, so with the patchwork there, what is that? 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't know. I guess we just pass here, right? I guess you could send the bird. Send the bird for 2. Like, because we want the Hydra to continue to grow, right? All right, moving to combat. Yep, bring the bird across. That's pretty good. There's a pretty good turn. All right, 2 Ink Moths out. Do we have a... I mean, I guess we got Sabaz here that could blow up the Hangerback Walker if we wanted to. Oh, wait, hold on. Just kidding. Adjusting, counting up the mana, seeing what we got going. All right, pay the 2, actually. I was like, I'm very curious why you shocked, but then you didn't tap it. And it's like, well, it'll all make sense because it all does the same thing. When you'll see. All right, walking ballista for 2, which becomes 3 off the hardened scales here. Jabaz is going to be destroyed, which then adds 2 more counters. That's why we kept it. We shocked it in there just so we could be able to. It says, "Oh, I can shoot that Hydra if I want." It's not now, of course. Oh, we forgot to move it to 4. Oh no! The Hydra grows at the end step, but we forgot to grow it last time. Oh, Skirmish Rhino. Skirmish Rhino. So it's the same thing as Siege Rhino, just a little baby boy. 3/4 trample, enters battlefield. Each opponent loses 2 life. You gain 2 life. So yeah, we're dropping our opponent to 4 now. I mean, swing in for 2 with the bird. Ooh. Yeah, I was like, all right, wait, that patchwork real big. Okay. 8 power versus 7 power, or 7 toughness, so that will die. And then the hangerback will die, but we have 2 damage marked on the Hydra. The Hydra should have 4 counters, but that's okay. And now we can start shooting that down. Boop, 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 boop. Machine gunning him. All right, has our hardened scale player stabilized here? I mean, that patchwork is really strong. We need... I mean, basically, if we get... Let's see. Arcbound Ravager here. 1, 2, 3... 2, 4, 6... 8. Yeah, we could just... If we get an Arcbound here, we could kill with an Ink Moth if we can deal with this bird. And right now, our Walking Ballista only has 2 counters, but us passing here allows us the option of paying 4 mana to put 2 more counters on our Walking Ballista. Ooh, Cosmic Rebirth. So we're going to bring our Hydra back. Gain 3 life to do that. And yeah, there's the 4. Let's just shoot that. No, you may not have that Hydra. All right, Skirmish Rhino. Again, we can't swing in because of the patchwork. I guess we just start killing off the Thopters here. Or try to with our bird. Ooh, Ophelia. Right, the deck is all about blinking rhinos, so... That... What is that? I never can remember the name of that land. I know it's from Assassin's Creed, and it can help get back historic spells, and you get to exile everyone's graveyards. Like, it's a really powerful utility land, actually. Alright, so again, like, Arcbound Ravager could win us the game. I mean, it could, like, we're staring down 21 life. So usually if I'm fighting against somebody that has a lot of life, my whole thing is like, alright, how can I try and find an avenue that doesn't care about winning through life? But, oh, alright, we do get back our Hangerback Walker, exile all graveyards, because we also got to see some of that recursion taking place already, so end step. Here's Ophelia, the doggo. I mean, we're at 4, all right? That's a Hardened Scales player, so we're just like, no, we're not going to let you blink that. I have to Old Yeller your dog. Oh, no. Poor Ophelia. All right. Ignoble Hierarch. We got 2 in the air, technically 3 off the Exalted trigger. All right, let's start clearing the way. Oh, Urza Saga. All right. That can help us at least get the Ozolith. Then, like, you know, Hangerback and things like that. It can be really useful. We don't have a way to... Oh! Skirmish! All right, dropping to 2. 3 in the air. All right, are we? Oh wait, it's a 3/4. So we would eat everything. It says wait, it is not a 3/3. It's a 2/3 that becomes a 3/4 because of the exalted trigger. So we'll just throw that in the way, and we'll block with one of the Ink Moth instead. Keep our Thopter alive. So it is now a 1/2. Because minus counters cancel out plus counters. 23. Okay. But yeah, we can't really swing in with our own patchwork because it's like, yeah, sure, I won't block. And then Maga's coming out. Okay, I like this play. We've got our of course. Oh, an Agatha Soul Cauldron. And we have a Walking Ballista. So what is that? 11. 12, 13 shots, 14, 15, green, black, and white. Oh no, we just have a Siege Rhino, so your Walking Ballista doesn't actually matter. Gain 3, drain 3. There we go. Nice little bonus content game for y'all to be able to enjoy. I don't know. I love seeing this Rhino list, and so that's kind of the main reason we wanted to showcase this deck, this matchup here on camera for you guys for our Thursday episode. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. We do have more gameplay every Monday and Thursday, but that's going to do it for us here today. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching, everyone, and I'll see you all next game.